How do you, Chris?
Yeah, really good. How are you?
All good. All good. Been looking forward to do this follow up from our SEO overview. So much so I've invested in some new kit, which hopefully has got better quality. And in the process of setting up today, I've managed to call the police by mistake. So watch out when you're using your phone as a camera. But here we are. We're back again. So just want to sort of loop back on what we were talking about on the last video. So
Yeah.
let me just get this back up on screen. So we started talking about what is SEO, what's the SEO overview, all right? And it's just a massive universe, right, of SEO. Now, I think we gave an overview of all the bits, but what I want to dig into now is where do you start? What's the first thing you need to do? So strategy is the first piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah. You
So
need to.
yeah, do you want to sort of tell us how do you start with your strategy? How do you approach it?
Well, there's two parts to this. There's the research part of the strategy where you're finding out about who you're targeting and what you're offering and things like that, doing the research and finding out. Then it kind of moves on to kind of keyword research.
Yeah.
Once you then know the keywords that you're shooting for, the types of searches that people make, the types of content that they're interested in, then there's the kind of active strategy of, or the plan of, how do we get found for those kind of keywords. And then there's so this is exactly what we're going to do. But the first part of all of this is understanding our target audience.
Yep.
Understanding what their needs, what their pains are. So this is more of a broad marketing question, but of course it leads into SEO. Search engine optimizations is a marketing channel at the end of the day.
Yep.
And we have to have a full understanding of who we're targeting, what their needs are, what their questions are, what their pains are, and then we relate that to how they are going to act on the internet, what they will be searching for.
Yeah.
Potential ins into our business, to our offering, based on the activities that target audience is doing.
Okay.
And then at that point, when you know what their needs are and what their pains are, all that good stuff, that's when you start moving towards, okay, what will they be searching?
Okay. So
That's sorry.
So how do you find that out? How do you find out? Is it analytics? What's your first port of call? So let's say you've decided your target audience, right? It's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah.
It could be location based. So what's the first step then in finding out what keywords their audience is searching for?
Okay, so if you're talking about keyword research, it's a multi-step process, really. There's lots of different places that you can go and you should go, and you need to consider to produce a full, mature list of keywords. The other thing that I would say is that this never ends. There's always different keywords, there's always different searches that we can add into the mix. And over time, as a campaign matures, we get to understand which keywords really mean the most to us as we go on. But here's some kind of real basic starting points when it comes to keyword research. The first thing that you need to do is, bearing in mind at this point we've got all the information in front of us in terms of who we're targeting, what their pains are, all that good stuff. That will then effectively trigger certain kind of research steps that you're going to do. Okay, so you're always referring back to that avatar, that audience, and those needs. Okay, and when you read something within there, you go, oh, okay, where could I find out the answer to that question? And you go, okay, I know. We go here, we read this, and we what have you. And when you're then doing the research, you simply, and maybe I'm a little bit old school, but ultimately, the process I go through is simply writing down ideas of what these people might be searching along the way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give an example of this. So it might be in terms of, let's say we decide the first step we're going to do is look at the let's say this is a business to business target. Okay, we might then go, and let's say it's solicitors. We might go to a solicitor's website, probably multiple solicitors' websites, but we're then reading their website and we're looking at the types of things that they and considering the types of things that they might have issues with or needs for. And as we're going through and we're reading the website, we're just jotting down the types of language that they use and the types of needs that they might have. Once we then have a broad list of potential keywords, and as the years go on and you're doing this many times in a day, you get an understanding of how people search. So you automatically know some really good keywords. But needless to say, we end up with a short list of potential keywords. And then that's when I go to different applications and different systems that allow me to expand on those keywords. There's lots of different systems there. I personally love to use Ahrefs. And that's a system that allow you to put those keywords in there. The system will tell you what the search volume is or the keyword difficulty, but then it will also tell you similar keywords. So you kind of start off with sprinkling a very short list of keywords, but it takes you off in other directions. So these keywords are related to this. Okay, are they of value to our clients and our aim? And you start to build up a list. That goes on for quite some time. You can spend hours, and you probably should spend hours through this process, always going back to that avatar and that audience definition that you have to kind of trigger, okay, here's a pain, so let's go and research on that. Here's a need, let's go and research on that. Here's a task that they might have, let's go and research on that. You build up lists. Then you expand upon them, as I explained, and then we get to a point where we start to put some order to that list.
Okay,
So tell me if I'm getting too technical with this.
No. This is the thing, right? And this is kind of the reason I wanted to start this series with SEO and what it is. It's an enormous universe, and it is detailed. There's a lot to it. So keep going.
Well, I won't get too into it, but I'll kind of broad strokes. This is basically what we're doing. We're probably halfway through the process now. So we've got a kind of starting but expanded starting list. At that point, we then want to start to group these together. We call them clusters in the industry, but similar keywords, we cluster them together. We go through a process where we decide whether actually how related are those keywords to each other by basically doing searches and seeing how similar Google or the search engine produces different content. But ultimately, you start then grouping these keywords together, and you'll have lots of pockets, lots of groups of keywords. And then you need to decide out of those keywords which one is our primary keyword. So the way that we do it, we have a primary, secondary, also tertiary keywords, and then related keywords, but we might not be focusing on these. They're all grouped together, they're prioritized. Then the next step is then we decide which pages or which content we're going to map that content to. Sometimes in a website we'll have the right content already, or the starting point for the right content. We go, okay, well, this is related to this service page or this blog or whatever it might be, and we go, great, okay, so these are allocated, they're mapped to that page. Or we decide, well, we don't have that content, so we need to produce that page, or we need to optimize the page that's already there. That's another set of tasks for us.
Got you.
And that's ultimately the process of finding out the types of things that we need to focus on, finding those related keywords, grouping them together, mapping them to a page, and then that's actually when the SEO starts after that, which is making sure that the content is related to those keywords.
And let's just go back to this then, because I think this, there's a reason, and we spent quite some time building this. We start with the strategy, right, and then keyword research, and this opens up the gate to everything else, right? I mean, there's some on-site, bits and bobs to do, but it's all seems to be driven by keyword research, which informs the content, and then off you go from there, right?
That's right.
So it's a real cornerstone. I think. A lot of conversation we have, people get distracted with Yoast. Oh, I've got green ticks in Yoast. It's like, cool, but like for what keyword and why those keywords and all the rest of it. And yes, I'm sure, some basic things, for us, web design, Northampton seems a pretty obvious one. but is it? Is that high competition? I guess it is. And I think just very quickly before we wrap this up, there's also long tail keywords. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so let me define the difference between long tail and what we would call money keywords. Okay. So the money keywords are the ones that that are most important to us. These are the ones generally with the highest search volume and generally the highest keyword difficulty. They're the ones that everybody is going for.
Yeah.
But they're really important to us. Ultimately, that's our main goal. But then you have long tail keywords, which are, as the name suggests, there's more words within there. They're longer tailed. But they tend to be more specific. So, and lower search volume. However, because they're specific, they could be very valuable to us. So they might only get searched 10, 20, 30 times per month. But if we can get found and we're right at the top of the Google or whichever search engine it is, and we're getting the majority of the traffic for those particular keywords, that could make quite a difference on the business that we're working on.
Absolutely. It's that old adage, being niche, right? If you focus on a specific niche rather than trying to be everything for everyone, there's some good value in that.
Absolutely right.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating because I learn a little bit each time as well. I've got a broad idea of a lot of these topics, but nowhere near the detail that and that your team go into. So amazing. Thanks, Chris. Next, I think we'll move on to content for the next recording. But
sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Really useful. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Take care.
Catch you next time. Catch you later, buddy.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah.